So let's open up tonight's meeting, Ayr Shirley Regional School Committee on Tuesday, February 3rd. Those attending tonight's meeting should be aware that the meeting is being audio and video recorded by Ayr Public Access and ASRSD. Any audience members who wish to record any part of the meeting must inform the chairperson, who will announce the recording. This is to comply with the Mass wiretap statute. The listings of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may, in fact, be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. Per the Ayr Shirley Regional School Committee policy, BEDH, public comment is not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between citizens and the school committee. It is the citizens' opportunity to express an opinion on issues of school committee business. Citizens will have 3 minutes to express their views. Any staff members addressing the committee are reminded of their obligations under the state and federal student records laws with respect to maintaining the confidentiality of student record information and refraining from discussing any personally identifiable information regarding students. With that, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Michelle, do you have roll call?
Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mrs. Bernard?
Here.
Mrs. Lindsay?
Here.
Mrs. Reshus? Mr. Rupert?
Here.
Ms. Span?
Okay, our high school representatives, thanks for waiting for us.
So I haven't done all too much since the last time I met with you guys, but with the upcoming next semester, the half year of getting into the half year of the transition next semester, so February through June, I've basically been just refocusing my independent study on focusing on what we can do for the next half of the year, the next remaining of the half of the year. Basically, we just focused on looking at maybe including social-based aspects to our STEM-based study. We're hoping to integrate using pamphlets and other information systems for hospitals to maybe focus a little bit more on the prevention sides of prosthetics and also on the cause and signs of why amputations happen. I shadow at an infectious disease office, and a lot of the patients there are usually on the older side and have a lot more health complications with more diabetics and with a lot of those problems that could lead to amputation. So I think it would be really beneficial to have pamphlets and little information snippets there for them to read. I've also been trying to just figure out what I want to do with my summer this upcoming year, since junior year is pretty important. I've been looking at possibly doing summer programs. I've been looking at one at BU and one at Tufts. They're both medical programs, so I would be really interested in applying for those, and then also seeing if I could possibly get an internship, maybe at a local biotech company. Apart from that, I've been really enjoying my classes so far. I have the opportunity to take RAD, which is a defense class with Ms. Kendall, and so far I've been really loving it. It's the one chance in the school year where I have an all-girls opportunity to have a class with that cohort, and I think it's really just a fun class, and I'm really sure I'll get to love that class. So, yeah. That's all I can say.
Any questions?
Do you get to attack as well as defend in red?
Yeah, we do.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm really excited because I saw some of my friends' attack videos, and it was just really inspiring to see that, because it was they were full padding, they spent the whole day, and it was just really cool. So I'm really excited to get to that in June, especially it'll be hot outside and it'll be really nice. So I'm excited for that.
Well, I would say that was a lot for someone that said you haven't been doing very much. So you mentioned a couple of, is some of the work that you first mentioned both through the school internship program as well as, it sounds like, are you doing some work on your own?
Yes, so through school I have the opportunity to have the independent study, the the prosthetics independent study with Mr. Moore. I take that every B block, so I have that throughout the whole year. And then through that, I also shadow outside of school at a infectious disease office. It's like close to Neshoba, it's still in those doctor's offices, and that's outside of school, but I do that like every Wednesday for like 2 hours a week, and that's pretty good. I really like the environment. It's a really cool experience to get like medical experience in like as a high schooler. So
Yep. Is that kind of a field you think you might go on to study after high school?
I definitely think so. I think it's just really cool because I know not a lot of people like get the chance to actually explore things that they say they want to do, and I think like being in there, like actually being able to like screen patients and like actually being able to like document and like look at charting is like it's really cool. I think that's a really cool thing to get the chance to do. So
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
That's awesome. So my daughter Isabella just did the internship with the fire department, and she loved it.
Yeah.
So maybe another one you can look at coming up.
For next year, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that like with the EMT?
Yeah, she went with the EMTs,
That's really
and she said she learned a ton, and she thought it was outstanding.
You really do like get the chance when you get to actually have like an in-person experience. Like
Yeah.
you really do change like
Yeah,
how you want to do it.
yeah, she loved it.
Is there any awareness or any events planned in the high school for the Winter Olympics? That was always like, I don't know how it is now, but back in the day, that was a big deal.
I know. All I can really say is that I know there's indoor track, and that's a really big thing. A lot of my friends are trying to get to leagues, so I think that's kind of the biggest thing that could be like with the Winter Olympics. I would say it's not really. I don't think we have any. Not really.
Nothing?
Not anymore.
No? No Italy, nothing?
I wish. That would
Okay.
be really cool.
All right.
That'd be a nice field trip.
Great. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, for that recap. That was great.
Thank you.
Hope Colin feels better. I think you said he wasn't feeling well.
Yeah, not feeling great today.
Yeah, there's lots of that going around. Okay, so next on our agenda is public comments. I don't know if there's any public comment in the room. Michelle, do we have anyone on? No? Okay, our consent agenda for a vote. We're approving the January 21, 2026 regular session meeting minutes for release, and our warrants as listed for our AP warrant 1008 dated 1/16/2026, and our payroll warrant 15 dated 1/23/2026.
I would make a motion that we approve the regular session minutes as well as the AP and payroll warrants listed.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, approved. Our new business, the approval of the 26-27 high school program of studies. Mr. Christie.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. Tonight really kicks off the beginning of our scheduling process at the high school, so I'm excited to get this underway. We do have some new programming coming up this year. We are going to be adding AP US History. The cybersecurity course is going to be changing from what has been just regular cybersecurity to AP cybersecurity. And our AP seminar course is now going to allow a pathway for students to take an AP English course in 10th grade. One of the things we've been looking at in AP Honor Roll is they've added a new section by how they judge criteria for high school. On the first two sections, which they've had all along, we've struck no lower than a silver, which is fairly competitive. Unfortunately, in this new section, which they've added this year, it asks how many students in the high school have taken 5 or more APs during the duration of their high school experience. We struck at 3%, which struck us in the bronze category. To bring us up to silver, we would need to raise ourselves up to 5%. We believe that with some of the new additions we have coming in, we're going to see this hit fairly quickly. And so ways in which we are doing this, we are going to be eliminating our Humanities 1 and 2 programming and moving to English and History 9 and 10. With the movement in this, we can now create a pathway for AP US History in 10th grade and AP Seminar in 10th grade. So that gives us both a English and a history course which students can now take in the AP selections. We also have new electives we're going to be offering, which is called What We Owe Ourselves. It's a really interesting, thought-provoking elective course, which is going to be led by Mr. Gill, who's demoed this in the college level. He's hoping to bring this into high school. We've made a few changes to our program of studies. We've streamlined our elective process for 9th graders. We are really hoping to lure them into specific pathways. And so what you'll see in the sheet in front of you are buckets. We felt like the best way to show off ways where we can start to lead students towards either art, engineering, or computer science electives are really through giving them broad exposure in their freshman year, which may lead them down a particular area of passion and interest. And we have a few course title changes. Any questions?
Yep. Joyce?
So looking at the elective pathways for grade 9,
Yes.
how does that change from what they could have done before?
Sure. We're really looking at streamlining our process. So previously, students had access to probably somewhere around twice the size of these electives. But what we really want, we want our students to gain knowledge in specific areas before they move on to other areas. And so for us, where we're looking at where students can start to meet some of our Mass Core requirements and gain strength in some of our really key areas, we feel like really streamlining this process down into a few separate specific courses makes a little bit more sense for us at this time.
So that 10 credits is for the whole year,
Correct.
right? Okay.
Correct.
And then so are any of these half year?
Yes.
So like if I don't know anything, I'm terrible, but
Yeah.
I try band, can I do band for the first half of the year and then decide that I can't play worth, you know what? And I can take chorus the second year because maybe I can try to sing.
So you sure could. I would say if you're going in the band or chorus, those tend to be full year courses, and students tend to come up from the middle school with some amount
With
of
some idea
experience.
of what they want to do.
But in your case, yes. I would say if a student walked into band and it wasn't for them, we could certainly look at capping it as a half-year course and moving them into chorus.
Yeah, so, and the question that hunches up becomes, when I get down to group 2,
Yep.
then I see something here that is basically current events.
Yes.
That doesn't seem really to fit in. Well, it's up there too. Okay, so you can switch those around. Okay.
We have current events in both our Group 1 and Group 2 categories. We recognize
Is
that
that
many...
new?
I'm sorry?
Is that an addition?
No, so this is a course we've offered, at least for the duration of my time here, so 8 years, but I would guess it's probably been a little bit longer. It's a course that's taught generally through our history department, but really allows students to talk about what's going on in their world. We felt that was an important one to keep for 9th graders, knowing that with the kind of changing world that surrounds them, we wanted to give them an outlet to be able to discuss what's happening in their world.
And is there any chance that with the number of students that we have, so kind of melding some of these one into the other? So if I'm looking at principles of engineering, for example, to me, having computer science essentials is essential to do the engineering.
So they
So I
are
don't
two
understand.
different courses of study. Engineering really takes a look at structures, how things are made, principles behind different structural elements. Computer Science Essentials ultimately starts students on block coding and understanding the technology behind which computers run. So for us, Computer Science Essentials really starts to lead students down one path. The computer science course can lead students to computer science principles, which for us is an AP course, or even going further into computer science A, which tends to be a little bit more math-based. Cybersecurity then becomes a kind of a further extension of that. Robotics is a tie-in with this. And then we have some Python language courses as well.
They'll go into the same
Yes.
over description?
Yeah, so those really start students down one avenue. Principles of Engineering 1 does lead us to Principles of Engineering 2. I think within the next few years, what we're hoping is to add at least a Principles of Engineering 3, if not a 4, so that we can really start to give students more experience in engineering than they previously had.
So, I know for quite a while, there's always been the humanities. So with the humanities breaking apart, I kind of have a two-parter question, so feel free to answer however works for you. First, from my own experience and even hearing my daughter's experience, the nice thing about coming in 9th grade is you're kind of learning about high school, or if you struggle with one subject or the other. With those two being married, it was very helpful if you kind of felt lost. So I'm curious about how you perceive or may project, breaking up, humanities and having them, separately. And then the other part is from the perspective of the teachers. What is going to be put on the teachers, or not even put on them, what's going to change regarding that, right? Because obviously the teaching time and effort that's put into that with them, essentially working together kind of. Yeah. I'm just curious, what does that look like?
Sure, for me, I think about this as an opportunity. Right now, I think what we've tended to have are silos of team teaching, where one English teacher works with one history teacher. I think what we're looking to do is to broaden the horizons a little bit and have two departments work together. So I don't necessarily see all of the elements of humanities fading away, but I do see that the two departments now working more closely together. There certainly is a budgetary element to running humanities that I think becomes difficult as we continue to move forward. And I think there have been struggles with finding English material that relates to history at all times. And so at times there can seem to be a mismatch with some of the work that's been done in there. So this really allows the revision of some of the English textbooks and approach to teaching. But I think you're absolutely right. And what has been nice about the humanities department is giving kind of a warm, welcoming environment for students. We don't anticipate that changing. We just anticipate the teams now becoming more departmental and working together in that fashion.
Yep.
Is this the first time we're offering possible AP selection for sophomore? Was that normally just upperclassmen?
So what I think we're finding with AP courses is that they are reaching down further and further. So we do have sophomores which take AP courses, but we're expanding our options. We found greater desire from both students and families to look at the selection of APs earlier and earlier. I think that the course that tends to be offered most frequently to sophomores, we haven't had the ability to offer, and that's AP US History. AP US History tends to be kind of the gateway for students in, but with us having had the humanities department, that really locked up sophomore year to not make that a potential. And so what we've done is we've planned over the last 2 years where Mr. Gubalini and Ms. Ochap right now have all of the honors level humanities 1 students. They've already started integrating into their curriculum some AP questions to prepare students for what it would look like next year.
I've given up my annual request for the Bible as literature course. I know we've not gotten anywhere with that, and I understand why, which is okay. Apparently somebody is cold.
Mr. Quinty, it's funny you mentioned that. That was one of my favorite courses in high school as well. I certainly think it's something we've discussed a number of times. The challenge with it is approaching the Bible as a work of fiction versus a work of nonfiction can be challenging for some folks.
And I can understand how some teachers might be reticent to that, but I'm wondering if you take a different tact, and maybe, let's see, acrimony among nations, a religious perspective, right? So you have Myanmar, you have Afghanistan, you have Iraq versus Iran, no greater good, no greater evil happens than in the name of religion. And I think that perspective, you don't have to pick, you can pick, all of that stuff comes into play. But in most discussions I have, people that have no understanding of the background and why these things are so intractable. And I think at some point here, some perspective like that would give them a big leg up, as soon when they leave here, they'll be voting, right? And they should understand more of that, and most people don't understand any of that. So I think, maybe that from a history, a world history perspective may give us a leg up there.
Deuteronomy 5.
So I think Mr. Cleary might be quoting the Bible over here. Certainly, there's some allusions that I don't think you can get away from within literature. And so currently they're being taught, I would say, out of sequence. So where a specific story or a specific chapter of a biblical verse will be taught to give students an understanding of what's happening. So Job tends to be a fairly common one that runs throughout the world of literature. But point taken. It certainly is something with an understanding of the overlap between religion and our everyday world that we could certainly take a look at broadening our teachings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just make a comment on the AP courses at the sophomore level. To me, going through the college application process right now, and with the uber competitive schools that kids apply to, I believe one of the disadvantages that we can see is schools absolutely look at rigor and they count how many AP classes students take. One of the disadvantages I think that we have, and I understand why, but larger school systems most of them are offering AP at least at sophomore levels. And so that is something that I know we've been having to call out through the application process, that the reason why like some kids didn't take the same numbers because they weren't available. So the more we can add that, I think the more it will help some of the kids through that college application process.
Thank you. We agree.
Yeah. But I understand why it's difficult. Right. All right. Yep.
Can you clarify the math flowchart? I feel like I thought I had internalized our math offering. And maybe I haven't.
Sure.
I don't think we're doing Algebra 1 in 8th grade. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We are not.
Is that something that's changing, or is that if students are coming into districts? If I'm looking at on page 18, it has that flow chart that starts. It looks like algebra or 8th grade. You're either in 8th grade math or Algebra 1.
Yeah, that's not accurate.
Okay.
Correct.
It is a graphic which we have to update.
Okay. Not a problem. I was just I wasn't sure if things were changing or if I just hadn't internalized correctly. Okay.
Are you talking about the math core
The
requirements?
math flow
There's a
chart.
flow chart.
Oh, I didn't get that done.
No, that is fine. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't behind.
Yeah, that graphic was done in 2024, so
Okay.
you have to update that.
Yep. It does stand for what we have in graduating classes of 27 and 28, but we need to have another
tracks.
addition to it.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's inaccurate, but we need one more to kind of move it.
Yeah, this is where my reading comprehension, if I had paid attention to the word class of as opposed to for school years, I was thinking of those as school years 27 and 28. No, that's great.
No, thank you, and we will have an updated graphic.
And again, this isn't wrong for those classes, it's just the classes after would have a different flow chart.
Yes.
Joyce?
So is U.S. history broken down into up to a certain date and after a certain date?
Yes.
So I'm assuming.
Correct. U.S. History 1, I apologize, I can come to the page and actually give you a more specific year.
I didn't go that
But it
deep.
tends to
I
be right around
apologize, I'm asking
World War
questions
I.
off the top.
Jackson era to World War I in U.S. History 1. And then when we get into the U.S. History 10, it's from the 1920s to present, or as close to present as they can get.
So earlier than Jackson is in middle school?
Civics.
Correct.
5th grade and 8th grade, predominantly.
5th through 8th?
5th and 8th.
5th and 8th?
Yep.
What do we do in 6 and 7?
6 and 7 is kind of a ancient civilizations process through the dawn of time.
And I'm just asking this dumb thing because I just finished watching the whole Revolutionary War thing. And we're
Wonderful.
not teaching history right in school. Because I'm like, if we had had this in school, we would have liked history and would remember it, you know? So that's why.
Well, one of the nice things I constantly hear from our students is their love of history. I think
Is there what?
we are very lucky in that we have some really great history teachers at school.
Oh, always the best teachers in school are always the history teachers because they love it.
Well, as a former English teacher, I might disagree with you slightly, but I think we're blessed to have some really good teachers in district.
No, I just wondered what the scope was. I'm just trying to face it
And I
out.
know from speaking with Alucci, history is not her favorite subject, but having Mr. Prescott teach her AP Euro is a course she's loving and she's thriving in. I think in large part because of the nature of the teaching itself.
And the AP history courses would cover, like AP US history will cover the breadth of US history.
From what grade to start? 6?
No, the course of
The
AP
course
history
in-
that you
In
could
ninth
take
grade?
starting 10th grade
In 10th grade.
Oh, in 10th grade. Okay.
would cover the breadth of US history.
Pretty hard in 1 year.
Yeah, that's why it's advanced.
It moves. It's a challenging course. It does move. But I think
Can I
students
sign
that
up
have
for
come
it?
out
I'd like a
of it
refresher.
really enjoyed it.
Could be a new initiative where school committee members audit courses. at
Oh,
the
can we
high
all
school.
audit courses?
It'll be a
If you'd
new,
like to come in and see a course, I'm sure we can arrange it.
it's a new revenue stream. We'll start charging school committee members to take AP courses.
But it's limited to school committee members.
Sure.
The difficulty would be telling who's who in the classroom.
Pardon?
The difficulty would be telling who's who in the classroom.
This is true.
This group? We would all be much more vocal.
He pulled that off with a very straight face.
Yeah. Actually, I think you'd love the courses that we offer here. One of the pleasures I have as a principal is getting to go into
To
the
sit
rooms
in.
and actually see some of the really wonderful courses we teach. I can tell you walking down the hallway when I hear history of rock and roll, I'm like, oh great, the Beatles are on today. Or I hear a teacher just in full throat talking about something that they're passionate about. So passing by Mr. Donovan's room and listening to him talk about multicultural literature. It really is wonderful to walk back into a classroom through the perspective of an adult who now understands everything that's being taught and really the...
Particularly if you don't have to pass the test.
Yes, absolutely. If you're not
That's why
being
it's gonna
graded
be an
on it,
audit.
even better.
You can enjoy it.
Yes, and we have some wonderful courses, so if you'd like to audit a course, please let me know.
You shouldn't say that.
Okay. Any other questions? So this does require a vote.
I would make a motion that we approve the course of study as presented.
Second?
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, this comes back to us actually in the handbook again, because when we approve the handbook, we're reapproving this, right?
So, Mr. Cleary, I don't know if you want to jump in here. They're actually two separate documents. So our program of studies we'll put out relatively soon because we want to get this in the hands of our students and
Right,
families
right.
before they start to choose their courses for the year. The handbook tends to come up for review in July, August, and I know Mr. Cleary works with the principals of every school to kind of come up with a more uniform book that then has specific sections for, say, the elementary schools, middle school, and high school, as well as for athletics and our technology departments. But you're absolutely right. There are elements of the program of studies that are referenced within the handbook.
Okay, well, that's what. It's been a year since
I just want to complete that vote. So
She seconded.
you seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sorry.
No. Yep, that's right.
Did that.
I just want to make sure it's on record.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Okay, up next, we have approval of grants received to date. Dr. Endo.
Thank you. Mr. Claire is actually going to present that.
Sure, you have a memo from Jay Mooney, our grants coordinator, that's in the packet for approval for 5 different grants. The Mass Broadband Institute Technology Grant, we haven't received the financial award yet in terms of the number, but this grant was to increase our number of Chromebooks that we had. The Maya Risk Management Grant was for $10,000. That's to support GIS mapping for schools. This was something that came from Chief of Police, Chief Gill, had brought this forward to the Safety Committee, and we sought out grant funding to support the implementation of this to increase our safety processes in the schools. PLTW Expansion Grant, you heard Mr. Christie talk about expanding Project Lead the Way Principles of Engineering courses at the high school, so we had applied for a grant for that and received, we have a very good relationship with the 1-8 Foundation, and received a $10,000 expansion grant. There's a continuation grant for the PE and health and wellness curriculum for $25,000 to align with the new frameworks. And then finally, we have a Safe and Supportive Schools grant for $10,000. It says that it's to support the work of the Equity Imperative. This has been updated to support the work of the Lynch Leadership Academy to support the work that we're doing. So we ask humbly for your approval for these grants. This does require a vote so that we can process them and then follow through on our requirements.
I make a motion that we accept the grants that were just outlined by Mr. Cleary from 4 grants that have money. The other one. No offense, the Chromebooks. That's actually pretty good. How come they don't put a value on that?
Because the market value is changing. So we're ordering directly from the Mass Broadband Institute is actually purchasing the materials.
They're going to purchase it?
Correct.
And when is that coming through?
Hopefully shortly.
That's a good answer.
And yeah, I mean, in terms of I don't remember when we got this approved, probably about a month ago in terms of the application process and finalizing and got the approval. And so we're waiting on shipment of materials. Yeah.
That's a good amount of money.
I would second that motion.
I will make a motion that we accept those 5 grants as outlined by Mr. Cleary.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
None opposed? Thank you. And next we have our superintendent's report.
Thank you. We have a revised last day of school. We've had 1 snow day so far this school year. I'm positive it's going to be the last snow day that we have. This makes the last day of school now Tuesday, June 16th, and it is a half day of school for students. We have an update on on-demand conferences. Since we have implemented this since the last school committee meeting, middle school teachers have expressed the desire to have some input on what would trigger an on-demand conference for them to initiate that with parents. Principal Ulrich will be working, I believe, with his ILT, instructional leadership team, to outline some of that, and we will update the school committee as that work continues. I am excited that they want to have some input on this. I think it shows some great initiative on their part. We have a sports update submitted by our athletic director, Mr. Kendall. The winter sports season is quickly approaching the end, and several teams are doing quite well. Both track teams will compete for the league championship on Saturday, February 7th at Fitchburg High School. The event starts at 2 p.m. The boys ice hockey team is already qualified for the state tournament with a 9-4-1 record. Dylan Gibbons, Colin Hollenbrook, Jason Turner, Johnny McGrath, Brody Knox, Evan Gibbons have all been playing well for the Blue Knights. Freshman Matt Pond got his first varsity win the other night. Lauren Gaudette has been a key player for the girls hockey team, which has played a difficult schedule and is ranked in the top 20 in the state and should qualify for the playoffs. Boys basketball is 1 game under 500 with 5 to play. They need to win 3 games to reach the state playoffs. We will host an annual General Holman Memorial Tournament President's Day weekend. Senior night for the boys will be February 12th. And then Elena Lamb captured a couple league championships for Brownfield swim team last weekend. Girls basketball has improved dramatically since the beginning of the season. The Panthers are a young team and have been putting in a lot of work and have maintained a positive attitude. Thank you to seniors Kelsey Peterson and Elise Urbili for their leadership. Our middle school basketball teams will wrap up its season next week with home games on Tuesday and Thursday. Winter Sports Recognition Night will be held Tuesday, March 10th at 6:30 at the high school. There is nothing new to report for college acceptances, and that is all for the superintendent's report.
Great. There are no chairperson's notes. I'm sorry, I skipped way down. Ongoing business.
Make it shorter.
Our topics. I know these are going to be standard topics, but updates on the FY26 budget. Dr. Renda.
Mr. Plunkett was not able to make the meeting tonight because of a family emergency, so I'd like to table that to the next meeting if possible.
Okay. And is that for A, B, and C for the ongoing?
We are able to present the preliminary budget.
Okay. So our next topic, FY27 preliminary budget and discussion with Dr. Renda.
Thank you. Mr. Cleary will be, I'm sure, assisting and hopping in on this as needed. As you know, we had just left the select board meeting where we did present the preliminary budget to the select board and FinCom of AIR. This has been, to say this has been a difficult budget season is an understatement. What you're going to notice is a bit of a different approach to our typical budget presentation. Tonight we hope to clarify what the required local contribution is, show some of the process that we go through to typically bring down or help bring down the assessment for the towns, highlight what the challenges are, why this has been so difficult, and to be quite honest, it's not just this year, it's really been the past 2 years. And discuss our next steps, what we're going to continue to do to try to make this a reasonable number for both towns. So the required local contribution for AIR is $11,283,655, and for Shirley, it is $6,672,346. From this point on, we won't have, this presentation, just to clarify, is tailored for the Select Board and AIR. We are presenting to the Select Board in Shirley next week, so we will update some of the Shirley numbers at the next school committee meeting. So the required local contribution is a number that the state calculates yearly for each town. It is part of Chapter 70. They take into account what they property values, income levels, and student needs. The required local contribution plus state aid equals net school spending, and this is the foundation of the formula for the state budget and for local tax decisions. There are really 3 cost sections here. It's the operating expense profile. That is what it costs us to run the schools, including teaching, support services, and building operations. And then the next, really, the major 70% or higher of the budget is compensation. And then there's student-centered domains. It's student support services, including special education, transportation, utilities, and enrichment programs. And what you're going to see tonight is some of our pre-adjustment work and post-adjustment work, the number that we actually need to be level serviced, and then how we can try to bring that number down into a reasonable range for our towns. So part of the issue that we're having, and it's not just, in fairness, not just Air Shirley, but municipalities and regional districts across the state, is higher costs in transportation. Fuel prices, longer routes have increased our transportation cost, and really in an unreasonable way. Just our out-of-district special education transportation costs are $70,000 a month. Higher insurance costs. Our insurance rates have gone up every year. Last year was a 12% increase. This year it's looking like it's going to be a 14.4% increase. Meyer has released the range. It's anywhere from 3 to 14.4%. So we are budgeting at 14.4 right now. It might be lower. Believe it or not, this is a bit of a relief. We were expecting anywhere from 20 to 25%. The reason that it's down, we believe that it's down to 14.4, is the elimination of covering the GLP-1 medications. And that is really part of the reason for the drastic increase. 2 years ago, that cost the district about $50,000. It was up to $200,000 last year in just these medications. We have much higher utility costs. Electricity and water are way up. I believe I had shared this at the last school committee meeting. We're spending about $65,000 a month. That's on average. Some months are higher, some are lower on average on electricity. And we're receiving less Chapter 70 aid. Mr. Cleary has gone through this several times, but we're about $1 million down the past 5 years, 7 years?
And title funding? 8 years.
8 years.
Yep.
And there's fewer ways for us to offset these costs than there has been in the past. So what you're seeing here is when we met with the town managers last week, we had told them what we need to level fund is about a 17% increase. That is extraordinarily high than what we have presented in the past. Now, we have been working on that number. We did present, there it is. We did have a week last to massage these numbers, and we typically have the governor release the budget about a week later than it typically is. But what you're seeing here, and this is usually the last slide in the presentation, and it actually will be again, but what you're looking at here is 11.9% assessment for air and a 14.7% assessment for Shirley. Again, these are preliminary numbers. Or a few years ago that we presented maybe something similar the first time that we presented these numbers, but we are well aware we need to get these down to a more manageable range. However, it is fair to say that what we have been able to do in the past isn't going to work quite as much this year. These are some of the levers that we have used in the past to help bring down that assessment. Circuit breaker funds. Circuit breaker is a state reimbursement for special education costs, and it can help reduce towns' need to pay, and we have used it in that way in the past. We are probably certainly going to use most, if not all of that, to do that. These are not guaranteed funds. It depends on what our reimbursement is, and then so what we can submit for, and then how the state is going to fund that, and it's not always completely funded. We have used E&D in the past. We used $350,000, I believe, 2 years ago in the budget to help bring down the assessment costs for the towns. The issue with doing that is we're really kicking the can down the road, so to speak. That cost then really should get passed back to the towns the following year. We tried to absorb it this fiscal year without success. Which is why which is part of the reason why we had the shortfall. Again, we also had a shortfall going out of last year where some E&D funds did need to be used for the shortfall, which Mr. Plunkett had presented about earlier this year. We also had migrant shelter funding last year. This was funding that the district received for the migrant shelter that was in air for the past 2 years. This money, again, was used for part of the shortfall from last year. Again, this is something that we're happy to do when we can to keep that assessment down, but again, it's one-time money, and when we do that, we're not really solving that problem, but yet just kind of postponing the inevitable. We have been very successful the past few years at receiving competitive grants. We will continue to do that. I believe we're well over $2 million since we've hired the grant manager. The problem with competitive grants is there are many stipulations on them. They need to be managed. And the public doesn't necessarily understand that when we receive a grant for instance, the COP safety grant, which is a significant grant, that we can't just simply use that to kind of offset cost. We have to do what we said we were going to do in the grant when they awarded us the money. Yeah, it comes with, it comes with, I can't think of the word. Stipulations, thank you.
Boundaries, yeah.
Yeah, stipulations, thank you. And building rental revenue, we often or always use building rental to help offset the cost in the general fund, which in turn will bring down the assessment. So this will have less of an impact this year. We have been successful at using these to lower the assessment impact and to protect staff and services that we are providing to students. The issue is, and I have mentioned this already, these are one-time funds. They're not guaranteed from year to year. And all of our other costs have increased so dramatically that it's not having the same impact to bring down the assessments that it has in the past. So some of the things that we are doing to try to either create some revenue or keep money in district to help bring down those assessments. We have contacted our special education transportation to see if they can redesign routes or anything. Just give us a discount if we are if we consolidate to one company to try to bring down some of those costs. And to their credit, they are looking at that to see if they can do that for us. We're also looking at contracting with individual parents for out-of-district placements. An example of this is there's one route that costs about $500 a day for us to transport a student to an out-of-district placement. That's $2,500 a week. If we can contract with a parent to do that for 50% of the cost, we could save $1,250 a week. Over the course of the year, that is significant. If we can do that with a number of out-of-district students, this could be significant cost savings. As of now, we do not have anyone who is willing to do that, but we have many more phone calls to make. We're hoping some families will take advantage of that. And really, $1,250 a week could be very helpful to a family, whether it is a parent or a grandparent or someone else in the family that can drive that student to school. And quite honestly, I would almost prefer to give that money to parents rather than a van transportation. We are talking to 3 different solar companies right now to try to get some solar in the district. There's kind of 2 avenues that we can do with this. We can purchase, which is much more complicated and timely, but there's more savings involved. There's significant tax incentives that we can get to offset the cost, and we would receive all of the credits from the electric company. There's also, I believe it's a PPA, where it would be a lease agreement. The advantage of this is it is nothing out of pocket to us. And we can see anywhere from a 20 to 30% savings there. So significant savings either way. Part of the lease that is really kind of why we're entertaining that also is if there is a problem with the roofs, they can actually make those repairs and include that in the lease agreement so that we could pay for those repairs over an extended period of time. The other part that is very interesting is they can build parking canopies, so covered canopies for parking in our parking lots. We wouldn't have to touch the roofs. We don't have to pay for the canopies. And there's actually an additional incentive if you do that. The state really wants people to look at the canopy parking.
Is there anybody who hasn't seen those? Carlisle school system is totally canopies on their thing. The Discovery Museum in Acton is total canopies, and they're nice to park under actually because your car doesn't get hot, or it doesn't have snow on it. So,
yeah, they're a great option. We're hoping to get some solar project on the books before next year. I would like for it to be all 4 schools. I don't know if that's reality. Some of our older schools have a bigger issue with their roofs, and also some limitations in their parking lot for covered canopy parking. The high school, parts of Page Hilltop, parts of the middle school really don't, as far as the canopy, if those are options. And again, that could be significant savings for us. One thing that we are absolutely doing is we are starting, this says an expansion of, but we are starting an 18 to 22-year-old program so that we can keep some of our students in special education who require additional servicing from 18 to 22 in district. Right now, what we do for those students is they are an out-of-district, it's an out-of-district placements. Many of them stay in this high school and they're part of Keystone, and it is a great program. However, it is $80,000 per student. We believe we can provide that service at a much lower rate. And the reason that this is an expansion is it really would, part of it would be an expansion of the program that they are in now, and we would include some community engagement with that and hopefully internships. So to keep the good news flowing, the federal funding is still very uncertain. We at this point, believe we will receive some federal funding. The amount of the federal funding or when we will get it is the question. We have no update for you of any of that. We don't know. We're getting kind of conflicting reports from who we talk to. State believes that we will be funded. They're not sure at what rate, but there are parts of different literature and information from the federal government that's saying that we may not. So we don't know where we stand. We think we're going to receive some funding. We don't know how much or when or who will be delivering it. So it makes it difficult to plan. So the realities of this budget season is cuts may be needed to get a budget passed. We are continuing to explore some cost-saving efforts. We are looking at, obviously, energy savings. We're looking at smarter purchasing, group purchasing, and combining services with other districts when possible. If we end up in the situation where we are making cuts, any reductions will focus on preserving teaching and learning, core programs, and required student services. Now, I could pause for questions about this part or go right into what is our typical budget presentation with the numbers.
Joyce.
So, very, very, very good presentation, by the way, to the Finance Committee.
Thank you.
It's fantastic. I don't think I could talk that fast and that coordinated. Very nice. So what jumps out, and it's around in everybody's back mind, is health insurance now.
Yeah.
And we have staff who could be on a single health person, but because of cutting, they need to take the insurance away from their spouse, significant other, whatever, and put it on this. Is that a feasibility?
That's possible. Yeah. I mean, there's an open enrollment period, and if we have someone who is a single, has a single member health insurance, if they get married, or if their spouse decides to join theirs, that is part of the benefit package, and that is a possibility. We don't think that would happen to such a degree that it would be much more of a significant impact than what the increase already is.
The big insurance programs being cut.
Yeah, there are also, I think the other factor is there's probably going to be other people that are on our insurance whose spouses get a different job and maybe have a better insurance and actually leave our insurance. So that's probably going to be a wash.
We hope.
We hope, but if it's not, I doubt that would.
It just feels fluid.
Yeah, I don't know if that would impact us much more than the $650,000 that the increase is going to be, roughly. It's huge. I mean, 14.4%. Last year was 12 and change, so we're looking at a 26% increase in 2 years. It's massive. It's broken.
For everybody.
Yeah, it's for everybody, and it's broken. It's unsustainable. Right. I mean, the $2 million increase that we are looking for, which we presented tonight and we'll get to, I mean, $700,000 of that is insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions thus far?
Thank you.
So what you, let me continue.
Yep.
Yeah. So what you're looking at in this slide is the preliminary cherry sheets. This could change. This is based on the governor's budget, and it typically does change. Right now, we are being funded at, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go through this. So you'll notice that our Chapter 70 for this year is $9,120,383. That's a $127,000 increase. That is because we are a minimum aid district. We are right now receiving $75 additional per student. So the state is telling us our towns can afford to pay more and calling us a minimum aid district. Our charter tuition reimbursement is down about $20,000. Our regional school transportation is up about $14,000. That essentially is a cut. I know it's an increase, but it does not even, it's not even close to combat the rising costs. Our school choice receiving is down about $35,000. So our total estimated receipts are $10,413,443. And going down to our estimated charges, our school choice sending out is up about $80,000 at $702,506, and our charter school sending tuition is down about $6,000 for a total estimated charges of $1,745,127. So our net receipts for Chapter 70 is $8,668,316. That is only a $10,000 difference from last year for Chapter 70. $10,000. What you're looking at here is our budget drivers and projections. So our Chapter 70, as we just went over, we're at minimum aid, and when you look at both the charges and receipts, it's only $10,000. This doesn't show that. This is showing at the 127, the $75 additional for each student. Our transportation reimbursement is down $95,000. Our charter reimbursement is down $20,000. Our Medicaid is up almost $53,000. Our depository interest is up 52, excuse me, our Medicaid is up 52, our depository interest is up 29, and local receipts interest is up 300. Some of the budget drivers, health insurance, which we've talked about, it's up, we're projecting 14.4. That may be lower. Right now, that's $677,376. Our regular transportation is only going to increase $37,625. That is because we are on the last year of our contract. We will be going out to bid next year. We are expecting a 20% increase in that line next year. Charter tuition out is up $46,000. Out of district collaborative day special education tuition is only going up $3,546. We're thankful for that. Our choice up is up $72,000. Middlesex retirement is up $38,000. Our sped transportation, this looks like it's down $532, but that is because we have applied $500,000 from circuit breaker to that to help bring down the assessment. Our contracted salaries increase is $993,136. So a total impact to the general fund budget of $743,076. School choice is relatively flat. It's down $8,000. Our circuit breaker, this is luckily a well-funded circuit breaker. We have $1.4 million that we received for circuit breaker. We have already applied $500,000 of that to special education transportation. This is the fiscal year 27 foundation enrollment. You're going to notice that we are down 65 students total. Air is down 88 students, and Shirley is up 23. 30 of the students that we are down in Air were in the migrant shelter. It's somewhere between 29 and 35. for students who are in the migrant shelter. We did have a higher percentage of seniors from last year for AIR residents, and then our kindergarten class this year in AIR is smaller than usual, which tells most of the story of those 88 kids. And again, we're up 23 students in Shirley. This is the fiscal year Chapter 7 summary. So our prior year Chapter 70 aid was $8,993,333. Geez, this seems to be getting smaller. Oh, my eyes are getting more tired. We are a minimum district, so we're receiving $75 per student, which is $127,050, which brings the subtotal to $9,120,383 for our Chapter 70 allowance. Oh, lost it. My apologies. PowerPoint just closed. Let me reboot that. This is why we use slides, usually. Okay. So the Chapter 70 determination of a town total required contribution. This is for AIR. We will present Shirley's at the next budget. So we're going to focus on specific lines here. I'm going to look at line 10, line 13, 14, 15, and then lines 21, 22, 23, and 26. And I'll go through this slowly. So line 10 is $12,909,011. That's the target local contribution. That's the amount of money that the state believes the town should be able to afford, and the amount that we need to run the district coming from AIR. And then when you look at line 13, where it says the fiscal year 26 required local contribution, that was the amount of money that AIR was required. There's no debate on this. That's the amount of money that AIR had to pay, the required local contribution. That was $11,440,441. What the state does is they take that amount and they multiply it by the growth factor, a revenue growth factor determined by the Department of Revenue. That was 6.71%. That brings that number to $12,208,095. Then they take line 15 and they subtract line 10 from it, and that is the shortfall. The shortfall is line 21, $700,916. That shortfall is 4.48%. Because it is under 7.5%, AIR is only, penalized 1% increment towards target. So that is $114,404. Last year for AIR, that was a 2% increment. I believe for Shirley last year it was a 1%. I might have that reversed. So that increment is added to the number of the 12,208.95 to come up with the required local contribution for AIR, which is $12,322,499. Now that is split between AIR Shirley Regional School District and Neshoba Tech.
Neshoba Tech.
Yeah. So the way that is calculated is the apportionment of the local contribution. It is done by your enrollment, the enrollment of AIR students in ASRSD and the number of AIR students in Neshoba Tech. 91% of total AIR students who are in either Neshoba Tech or Air Shirley, we have 91.57%. So we received 91.57% of that funding. Neshoba Tech receives 8.3.
And Governor, Nationalized Industries.
Neshoba Tech receives $1,038,844 for a total of $12,322,499. Okay. This, my apologies, this slide needs to be updated. There are some mistakes in here. I had said that at the select board. I was not in a position to, I did not want to interrupt Mr. Plunkett's day to do this. We will get this updated and sent out to you as quickly as possible. We can do this presentation without this slide, and we'll do that. So this is the really the operating assessment and the debt payment. So we did go over this earlier in this presentation. We're looking at right now an 11.9% assessment for Air and a 14.7% assessment for Shirley. The budget will not pass at these percentages. We're well aware of that. There is work that we will continue to do. We've had a week less than we typically have to massage these numbers and get these down. We think we can. What we don't think we're going to be able to do is get them down to where we typically do. For instance, last year, we were able to get the assessment for Shirley at 2.7 and for Air at 6.5. That's not a reality. In fact, we have part of the issue that we're having, in all honesty, is that we have always gotten these numbers down drastically, and we're at the point now where it's catching up, right? So what we've been able to do in the past to get these numbers down, using some revenue streams, using some E&D, using circuit breaker, the costs have risen so dramatically that they're not having as much of an impact. We're in need of one or two things or both, either a correction, cuts, or both. It's probably a combination of the two to get to a number where we can get this passed. If it's of any comfort, we are not going to be the only district in this situation. In fact, I think we're probably in a little bit better shape than a lot of our surrounding districts. We do believe that some of the work that we're doing, both with the solar and transportation and starting the program, as well as possibly joining a purchasing collaborative, can help us fairly significantly bring that down to what we believe will be a manageable number for the towns. It might not be as low as they would like us to go. But part of the reason that the assessment is as high as it is this year is because we have, for at least the 5 years that I've been here, and I believe looking at the assessments since 2017, we have often made it work. It's just at the point where it's not going to work as well as it has in the past. We're happy to answer any questions that we can. If there's some questions that we can't and Mr. Plunkett is more suited for, we'll get you those answers as soon as we can.
Yeah, it's just all luck with this year. I do believe that we'll find a way to get through this year, but I also think it's an opening salvo where we're going to have to get a little bit more education exactly what's driving this. I mean, when you have, anything that looks like this and you're trying to, we see it all the time, so
Yeah.
we can look at that and we're looking at particular things and that's fine. But people that never see it, that is just glazed over.
Yeah.
So it's going to take some chartsmanship that has to be in the presentations, and the things that immediately popped to mind for me is Title I and Chapter 70 funding overlaid with the percent increases over like the last 8 to 10 years. And you'll be able to see, we've been able to do this, and that's that money's been able to do this. That's a big one there. Health insurance costs won't be a big surprise to anybody. Transportation, electrical costs especially for energy stuff. And all that on each one of those overlaid with what we've been able to do for the last 8 to 10 years. I mean, it's astounding what we've been able to put forward for increases for the last 8 to 10 years, especially given the growth that we've had. But a lot of time will have to be spent with that so people understand that this isn't just a one-off one day. There are severe structural things that have to be taken care of. And the sooner we start the education process with explaining that to everybody, the better off we're all going to be in the long run. But it has to be, you're looking at, bar charts and pie charts, things that are visual, because that's what people will see and that's what they'll understand. This won't work in moving the needle.
Well, I'm glad you're saying. I think that's mine and Mr. Clear's least favorite chart on there. But we will. I mean, this is going to take some effort to get past. Even after we're certain we can get that 11.9 and 14.7 down. It's not going to be. No one's going to be in the twos.
Right. And with the Title I and Chapter 70 stuff, you also have to put in there is that a big part of that is that we are a victim of our own success. If you chart over the same time what property values have done in this area over that time period, it will become very apparent why those funds are no longer available, and that's not going to get better, right? We're still on the upswing here. And those are the types of messages that have to get out.
So I had an idea, hopefully, I think it still works here. So one of the things that had been working in the areas that I've worked in is when you have the open enrollment, generally in like November timeframe, we actually had either the HR representatives or people at Mass Health that would actually sit down with our staff and review what the healthcare connector plans are, because oftentimes, and even working in healthcare, behavioral healthcare, when I looked, I was astonished. Through Health Connector, I was getting the same, if not better, services, care, needs for medical, vision, and dental. It was half the price, and mind you, mine was for a family. It was half the price than what my job had. And I'm wondering, even if we did that to kind of combat the healthcare costs for the staff, might be a good thing. I don't know if there's like a PD or a time frame that maybe you could bring it in like November. But I think people would be astonished by it because it's very simple. You can just have your pay stub in front of you and you plug in the numbers, you can set up, and the staff is there typically to help set it up, because most people, the biggest hurdle is getting online and doing it, but it takes no more than 15 minutes, and it was amazing the amount of people that ended up opting out of our insurance plan and going on to Health Connector. And then if there is a change, and we're hoping that there isn't, but if there is a change, here, or they're no longer here, because they're on the Health Connector plan, it automatically adjusts to what their current pay rate is, yet they get the same services. And it does include things like Tufts and other private insurances or well-known insurances, not just Mass Health. And I think a lot of people didn't realize that. They didn't realize that they would get the same services and all of those things. So I don't know if it's possible, but I would just throw that out as a suggestion, because that was a huge change for us.
That's something we'll look into. I don't really, this is not my area of expertise. I would be curious if educators there are oftentimes educators are not eligible for certain things because of the collective bargaining, and we have Maya negotiating essentially for us, but that's something I can find out very easily. And if it's less of cost, I'm sure some people would absolutely choose that if it's they can save money.
When we regionalized, we had to put together, we had different health plans in each district, and we brought in an insurance advisor and sat down and had people look at what they wanted. And when they laid some numbers out on the table, like a year of hospital care. Well, that costs a lot of money. But how many people are going to need that? You know, and some of the emergency room stuff and stuff that really didn't hurt your going to the doctor, doing what you do 99% of the time. So it was extremely interesting because the discussion with people realizing that they were paying for stuff that didn't impact them.
And I think we have that now, but it's not significant numbers. We have, I believe there's just 2 choices, the HMNO and the PPO. There's only 8 people on the PPO.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, we would, we could reach out to them directly and have conversations with
Because
them.
that was a before mass connect.
I know.
That didn't exist then.
Right, I know when
So-
I looked at it, I mean, that was 5 years ago. It didn't make much sense for me because it provided essentially the same service and all my doctors were in network anyway. But for some people, that is going to be because they're going to make that choice because their doctor isn't. But we should absolutely revisit that because things change, and if we could get everybody into the HMO, there would be some actual savings there. So that's a good suggestion. And it only being 8 people, we can have individual conversations with each of them.
Have we had any preliminary conversations with, or are you aware of what the Neshoba Tech is looking for this year?
I don't have an exact dollar amount, but I know that Superintendent Pigeon has the same concerns I do about the budget. Yeah. We talked on Friday.
You know, if our increases are in the same percentage rate from where we're starting, that's a good place to be.
Yeah, I would say in the same, if not, if theirs is not more.
Okay.
Yeah. We're in the same boat.
Right.
Is there, so once you do hopefully some more magic on the assessment numbers, is there another visit to the Selectmen and Finance Committee? Can you remind me, or is it really just?
We've done that in the past, but typically we would send that to Robert and he would update them. He does a nice job keeping them in the loop. But we'd be happy, if they would like that, we'd be happy to go back and present the newly formed numbers. I believe these numbers will probably be different before we present to Shirley next week.
I think they actually had probably all their finance committee there tonight.
Yeah, it was a nice
So
turnout.
that was good.
Yeah.
You know, that you had your presentation going to everybody. So, I mean, apparently they didn't really introduce them who they were, but looked like the seats they were taking.
And we know, probably because it hasn't really changed, those are very familiar faces we have met. We
3 of them on the side were, but the other one I hadn't met him before.
Yeah. That could be why.
Okay. No other questions?
Very well done.
Thank you, Dr.
Not
Rader.
good news.
Thank you, Mr. Cleary. Is there any update on the 5-year strategic plan?
Well, there is, and it's a very quick one. We are beginning that work tomorrow afternoon with the Lynch Leadership Academy, and we will have a more thorough update after that first meeting. Actually, I believe we'll have a couple of meetings before the next school committee meeting, so we will update you at that point. And we will be reaching out to you for some input on the strategic plan outside of a school committee meeting over to do so.
Okay, great, thank you. Moving on, I can now say that there are no chairperson's notes, if I'm reading this correctly at this point. Are there any other topics for discussion not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of this meeting?
Not at this time.
No. Communications.
All right. Thursday, February 5th, Page Hilltop has a PTO meeting at 7 p.m. at Page Hilltop. Thursday and Friday, February 5th and 6th, there will be a 90-minute early release for grades 6 through 8. Lunch will be served. Dismissal time is 12:45 p.m. On Monday, February 9th, there will be the ASRSD FY27 budget presentation to the Shirley Select Board and FinCom. Is that correct? Is it both or just the?
No,
okay.
it is, I updated that. This is, and the FinCom is going to be there on that.
On Monday?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, and that'll be at the Shirley Town Hall at 6 p.m. Also on Monday, February 9th, the Music Boosters are having a meeting at 6 p.m. at their Shirley Regional High School. Tuesday, February 10th, there is an ASPTO meeting at 7 p.m. at Laura A. White. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wednesday, February 11th, there is a school committee meeting at the middle school at 6:30. Wednesday, February 11th, there is an ASEF meeting at 7 p.m. at the high school. On Monday, February 16th, there is no school in observance of President's Day. And Tuesday, February 17th through Friday, February 20th, there is no school because of February vacation. That's it.
So we should all go to Florida where it's snowing.
Great, thank you, Erica. And I think, are we gonna have an executive session tonight?
Yes.
I'd make a motion that we adjourn the meeting to go into executive session to return only to dismiss the meeting.
Of adjournment?
Adjourn. Thank you.
I would second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.